in the XYZ axis. And then you got a whole bunch of temperatures, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, all the way to temperature M. And it's actually this temperature M, that we're going to model, okay? That we're going to model. In other words, you're going to come up with an equation that fits the temperature M graph here. And I think the temperature M graph is average temperature. I'm not totally sure, but it's this black graph here that we want to try and come up with an equation, okay? So that's what our goal is. So, and then you've got some pressure, another kind of pressure, relative humidity, and so on. Okay, so this is what we need to do. And again, like I'm saying, I'm going to actually use a spreadsheet that I'd already generated while I was working on this during my summer. So you'll see a lot of things that have been already filled in. But you will start out with a blank spreadsheet. So go into Microsoft Excel, open a blank sheet by clicking this icon there that says new, and obviously you will not have these columns that you see on the screen. So the first thing I want you to do is go ahead and extract this column. Okay, and you guys already know how to copy and paste. Okay, we've done that, been there, and hopefully you're experts at that. So sorry, not that column. You need to go ahead and copy this column timestamp into the first column here. Okay, into this column. So Control C, Control V will copy that stuff. So if you look at timestamp, it's starting at some bizarre number, okay? Whatever it is, 294749991, okay? Well, for our modeling exercise, it's really nice to start out time at 0, okay? It just makes it convenient. So what I want you to do is create another column, call it offset, give it a heading of offset. And by the way, what I want you to do is I want you to go down here to your data sheet, click on it, and rename that as data. So when you turn your work in, I expect all the sheets to be labeled the way you see them here, okay? And we're going to go through all the other sheets. I don't want to kind of really show my hand and walk you through all the sheets. I'm going to kind of slowly step you through the entire process, just like I did in class in real time. And show you how exactly the work needs to be done. Okay, so going back, offset. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a new column here, give it a heading of offset, then take this first entry here, so do a Control C and then a Control V there. So you're copying that element over, okay? And now as you can see, this column here is made up of that constant number, 294749991. Okay, that is my offset. So again, you've got only one cell there, so now what you do is Control C, Control V that in this entire, go ahead and select the rest of the column and go and do a Control V, and you'll get an entire column of constants 294749991. Okay? Alright, the next thing I want to do is I want to generate what's called reference time. In other words, time that will start out at 0. Okay, I don't want this arbitrary time here, 294749991. It seems kind of fairly arbitrary. I'd rather have my time start at 0. So then you're going to create a new column, give it a heading of reference time, and the first cell in this column is going to be this timestamp minus this offset, as you can see right there. In other words, enter the formula equals, select the cell A2 minus select the cell B2, and when you hit enter you should get a 0 there. Okay, what I want to do next is I want to go ahead and generate this entire column by taking this cell and pasting it in the rest of the column. Okay, pasting in the rest of the column, and if you do that correctly, you should see your numbers go 0, 60, 120, 180. So you know, evenly spaced, kind of makes sense. Because what happens on these data collection systems is what you've got is like a timer, and whenever the timer kind of expires, the system, and when I say the system, I mean all the instruments, go ahead and collect the data. You know, obviously at the control of a computer, under the control of a computer, and all the data is recorded somewhere in memory. Okay, and then Santa Clara University, what they do is they say, oh, okay, I want this page from memory, and that's how they do the data collection. Okay, don't want to go quite into details on that. Let's just concentrate on the data and the math that goes behind it. So if you look at the reference time, it's all going up nicely incrementally. Okay, 0, 60, 120, 180, 240, and so on. I'm not sure what units that represents, but doesn't really matter. Okay. So as I'd mentioned to you earlier, what we are going to do is we are going to actually model this black curve here. Okay, and so go back to the file that you opened. Okay, file that you opened from the Google Groups, and we're going to extract this column here. We're going to extract that column. So go ahead and select that column. Okay, temp M. Do a Control C there. Come back to your worksheet that you're working on and paste it there. So there's all my temperature data. There's all my temperature data. Okay? So far what we've done is we've got time extracted, and we've done normalization. Essentially normalization is, in this case, is really offsetting it. So we start our time at 0, and then we've got a column of temperature. Okay, temperature M. Right, hopefully everybody's there. Now before I forget, what I want you to do is go File and Save As, and you'll get a dialog out there, and what I want you to do is actually type in the name, your first name, and I think you guys are going to be working in pairs, so it's going to be your first name underscore the second person's first name. Okay, if it's 2 people. If it's 3 people, then first name underscore second name underscore third name. Okay, so go ahead and save that, and you want to come back periodically and keep saving that stuff. Okay, come back and periodically keep saving that stuff, because I don't want some erratic stuff going on here where the net goes down and you haven't saved your work and you've lost a day of in-class activity. Okay, we don't really have a lot of days to spare in this course, so I don't want to use any more than I have to. Okay, well, if you remember when we did, or actually when you watched the video, I hope you did, on YouTube, I went to a fair amount of trouble getting those up there, and although I'll tell you honestly, I learned a lot. I learned about how to capture video off my desktop and make a YouTube out of it. And the outcome of all this is that I'm going to write for a grant that hopefully will get funded, and I'm looking for a tablet PC so I can actually do all the work on the desk here. Capture the video like I've done on this one here and post it on the web so you guys can actually review the lessons at your leisure. Okay? Alright, so going back to that learning exercise that we did, the name of the game there was graph that. Graph that. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to graph time versus temperature M, or actually temperature M on the y-axis, time on the x-axis. So that's these 2 columns here. Okay? This one and this one. So go ahead and select these 2 columns. So you select this column by going up to this arrow, and you see this down arrow and it highlights it. Then hold the control button and select the next column, the adjacent column. So you got these 2 columns here that I want to graph, and to graph that, remember from the training video that you saw, you go do the chart wizard, and I'm not going to walk you through all this. I've already done that in the training video, so you should be up to speed on that. So you click that, and you'll get your choices of what kind of graph to draw, and just go ahead and do XY scatter and so on. Okay, and I've already done that for you in this video, so let me go ahead and open that up and show you chart temp M. So where are we?